What kind of pen do y'all carry every day? Or do you carry a pen? I mean, are you a guy that has an EDC where he empties his pockets out in the same spot every time and, you know, carries the same pen, the same knife, the same keys, all go in one pile on the dresser when you get home? You know, when you leave, you know where everything is. You carry the same stuff every day, no matter what. You know, there's lots of options for EDC items, including your pen. You know, you could very well carry just a basic, you know, clicky cap gel pen. You know, something like this tool, which is actually one of my favorite of all time. This is one of the best pens I've found, just when it comes to writing. You could do something as simple as taking a Bic pen and cutting it down to size. You know, you chop off the back end, you know, just make it small enough to fit in your pocket and it's out of the way. I've seen people who put a hole in it and put it on their keys. I mean, you have lots of options there. I carry all of these pens at different times. It just depends on what I'm doing or what I'm looking for out of my pen, you know. Actually, I lied. I don't really carry this Bic pen all that much. I only did it just to see if I could and see what it was like. I'll be honest, not a big fan of it, but there are people out there that like that, and that's kind of what they carry. I'll go real quick over all the pens that you see over here, and this is not an overall EDC pen video. This is a review video over a specific pen, but we'll get there. Bear with me. This is the Fisher Space Pen. This is a pen that uses the Fisher Space Pen cartridge, but it's just a little bit smaller. It's made by the same company. This is a pen I actually carry in my wallet. I just stick it in the fold in the crease of my wallet. That way I always have a pen, even if I do forget my EDC pen. This is the military pen, which is also made by Fisher. It's just a clicky pen, uses once again the same refill as the Fisher. So these three pens all use the same refill, which are the, you know, can write in grease, upside down, underwater, in space. And most people aren't ever going to actually have to write in those kind of conditions, but, you know, writing in the rain, I could definitely see. So, you know, you match one of these pens with a Write in the Rain notepad, and you should be good to roll. Already went over the tool. This is the M&P Military and Police, the Smith & Wesson Military and Police pen. Really like it also. This is much more of a tactical pen, and it looks like a tactical pen. I mean, you could definitely get some some good action on that if you decided to go after somebody with it. That would be a secondary feature of a pen for me. I'm not looking for that. However, when you find a pen that is high quality and doesn't cost a lot, you know, this pen doesn't cost a lot, this pen doesn't cost very much. Fisher Space Pen's about $17. This was about $10. This was $12. I think this one was like $30. I mean, they're all great pens, but you start jumping up in price depending on the brand and what kind of pen you're looking for. And I actually watched a video by a YouTuber named TheUrbanPrepper, who I think is a fantastic reviewer. And I watched his video the other day, and I was standing in line at Walmart, and I saw what he was reviewing. And what he was reviewing was actually the Zebra F-701 ballpoint pen. It is a stainless steel pen with a fine point tip. It's very nice. It's 100% steel. It's got some nice weight to it. I mean, it overall looked like a good pen. Best thing about it, though, price was $5.29. The only two pens out of this whole pile that was cheaper than that was the cut down Bic pen and the tool. You know, and this pen gets pretty close to that price. So you get an all steel pen, good quality construction, fine point. So when you're writing, you don't have to worry about smearing your ink all across the page. Got a great pen. this is just going to be a real quick overview of this pen to kind of confirm what the Urban Prepper was saying. And that is for $5.29, you're getting a fantastic pen. As you can see, I have two, and I think they are just awesome. One of the features, other than the stainless steel, is you get this really nice knurling. I got it to zoom in and focus earlier. Let's see if I can get it to do it again. So I mean, you get some really nice knurling on this thing, because you obviously don't have a rubber grip like most pens. But it's very comfortable in the hand. It has a lot of nice weight to it, but it's not super heavy like maybe this Smith & Wesson Military and Police. Obviously bigger, and you can definitely feel it in the weight. It's very classy. It's something that you could write with and you wouldn't have to worry about people seeing you, and worrying about you stabbing them in the eye with a pen. But it's also big enough to where if you needed to use it in a tactical situation, you have enough of the tip left that you could do so. Now, I am not a master fighter when it comes to a pen. I don't go train with my pen, and I assume that most of you don't either. And so I honestly probably wouldn't ever actually go for my pen in a self-defense situation. But I guess if you needed to, you could, and if you thought about it, you could. And the construction of this makes me confident that if you needed to, it wouldn't snap in half in your hand. You know, if you went after somebody with this pen, this thing would snap in half instantaneously. But you're getting a solid steel tube here that, you know, gives you a great stability and you know, feel when you're trying to hold it in a self-defense situation, especially when you have the tip out. I mean, let's see if I can get it to focus there. I mean, you can obviously see that tip is pretty sharp. So if you had the tip out and you went after somebody, you're probably going to put a hole in their leg. So it's definitely like I said, it's not my main feature of a pen, but it's nice to have. And if you're looking for a tactical pen or something like that, and if you think about it, you know, $5.29 for a pen that you can carry everywhere, even on a plane, not worry about, you know, people freaking out every time you pull it out of your pocket. Or you can pull out this Kubotan that has a pen in it. I wouldn't necessarily think this was a pen first and then a, you know, self-defense weapon second. This is definitely more of a self-defense weapon first. You know, this one you can pull out, nobody's going to freak out thinking that you know, you're about to hit somebody with it or stab somebody with it or think you're crazy. So other than that, it writes very nicely. I'm going to show you a piece of paper that has all of the different pens that I wrote down with it. Don't judge the handwriting, guys. First off, I'm a guy and I'm left-handed, so I've got two things going against me here. But this is the paper that I wrote down. Obviously the best writing pen was the tool pen, in my opinion. I prefer gel, but it's also such a fine point that by the time my left hand gets to the ink that I just wrote, it dries, so I don't have to worry about smearing. I definitely don't have to worry about that on the Zebra pen because it's not gel, it's a ballpoint. It writes very finely. It's definitely very fine enough to where I had to get used to it at first, but I really liked it after that. I went ahead and looked while I was at Walmart to see if they had different cartridges for maybe a medium pen or a medium point, but they don't. And you may be able to get one. I just didn't see one there. All they had were blue and black ink. So other than that, it's a very cool pen. It's got one last cool feature. Actually two. The pocket clip is very sturdy for a pen like this, as opposed to other pens don't really have very sturdy pocket clips. This one is very sturdy, and I don't feel like I have to worry about that one, you know, breaking off if I'm playing with it, or if I have it in my pocket, or if it catches on something. I'm not worried about it breaking off. But one of the other features it says it has is a soft clicking mechanism, and it's true actually. If you can listen to it, you can hear it, but it's not super loud as opposed to. I mean, it's definitely quieter than a normal pen. So as an everyday pen, as an EDC pen, I'm definitely going to recommend this pen as one of my top 3 EDC pens for the money. The quality of the construction that you're getting, multiple features. I mean, it's just an awesome pen all the way around, and I want to say thank you to TheUrbanPrepper for showing it to me, because I am actually now EDCing this pen. I was EDCing the Fisher Space Pen, but I've moved to this pen for now just to kind of test it out, and it has just blown away most of the other pens that I've EDC'd. So I just want to, give a shout out to the TheUrbanPrepper. Say, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. He also recommended this pen, and I want to back him on that. I definitely recommend it. And if you have any questions, shoot me a comment below. But it's $5.29 at Walmart. Definitely recommend you go get one. I promise you won't be disappointed. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I hope y'all have a great day. And I was just going to add this one last thing to the end of this video. I mentioned a Write in the Rain notepad, and for those of y'all who don't know, it's actually a company called Write in the Rain, and I combine this pad with this pen, which has a Fisher Space Pen refill, which can write underwater, or in what I think would be more likely would be in the rain. Basically, my assumption is that these pages are kind of a wax coated, and they're still very nice to write on. And it's kind of cool because if you need to write, you have your lines, but you also have graph style paper, so if you need to draw, you can definitely do that. And so I keep this notebook and pen in my EDC bag, just for notes or emergency notes, anything like that. I have it. So this is what I meant by my EDC pen, the Write in the Rain notebook. Just wanted to let y'all know. Thanks.